Trump obviously we have to consider his mental state. And we know he's a extreme narcissist, and especially like you said, all those missiles which do not exist. He invents them like as he goes. Slower missiles and higher speed, high velocity missile, whatever the heck he's talking about. But no, Europeans are brainwashed, most of their population anyway. I'm not saying that all of them are, but most, majority. And it's classic Europe. Europe wants war with Russia, because obviously their elites, they can see how the power is slipping through their fingers, and they're whipping their constituents, whipping up into this frenzy. Mr. Lavrov talks about frenzy. It's a Russia-hating frenzy. Europe wants war. It will get a war. And we have to say it now openly that there will be what we would call war. Those idiots, considering what you consider their armed forces, and which are pathetic, honestly, and their military industry, which is also pathetic. But they still believe that they somehow can gather those armies, they can draw all those kinds of their European youth, march against Moscow, because Russians, those subhumans, that's how majority of population of Europe looks, of youth Russians, sit on those more than third of the world resources. Obviously, by definition, Europeans have to have them. They don't understand that it's 2025, it's not 1939. The time when Russians will say, go and join the EU, whatever you want, is also gone. And obviously, neutral status, that's it. And of course, recognition of the realities on the ground. And the realities on the ground that Ukraine will lose more territories. It already lost more territories. Russians control very substantial chunks of Sumy Oblast. They already in Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. So it's, same old. And that's why I don't even pay attention to those negotiations. And those negotiations have been imposed on Zelensky by Trump. Whatever Trump uses, blackmail or whatever, what have you. And just again, it's primarily PR. Russia says, sure, let's communicate. Here's a memorandum. Here are demands. Do you want to adhere to those demands? No? Bye-bye. So the only thing they primarily discuss there is their humanitarian issues, such as their bodies exchange, of taking POWs, returning, things of this nature. But strategically, how you do not talk to puppet. It's not serious. And that's what Trump doesn't understand. He's not very bright, as it turned out to be. He thinks that by creating this diplomatic hustle, all foreign ministers go out, this Turkish guy, or whatever the name of him, he's talk about that, we need to reach this, and it's really rinse, gargle, spit, repeat, and same old each time. Nothing changes, except for Russian ground situation on the ground in former Ukraine, period. German culture, as in general, Western European culture, is highly conformist. So it's very easy to manipulate them. And again, they voted for that. And the only people who evidently have some survival instincts left for them are in former GDR, because Soviets never killed the Germanness of Germans there. They obviously feed them into their, so to speak, socialist framework, socialist mode of production. But there was a German culture. There was always praise of the German culture, ranging from great composers to philosophers and things of this nature, literature, what have you. In West Germany, it's completely different now, and they vote time after time to people who screw them over, and they are basically, they're mentally unstable people. And then scratch the German. I know it shouldn't be the broad brush painted over with the broad brush, but it's true. Scratch the German, you'll get the either SS or officer. Look at the elite. They are all relatives of either SS or Wehrmacht. And the phrase of Zhukov to Marshal Rokossovsky in Berlin, people say it never happened, but actually some say that they heard it. It did happen, some sources which have been close to them, that Zhukov stated to Rokossovsky, we liberated them from, and they will hate us for this. It's complete loss of the trust in the institutions. And when you have even, it's not left, it's BS. The Democrats are not left, they're just globalist neoliberal party. But even when some of them say this must stop. You voted for those people. You voted for pedophiles all your life, and there are all on both sides in Republican and Democrat party. Look at the Congress. Good Lord, they're creep upon creep sitting there. We know they're corrupt. They are blackmailed, most likely by Israel. Look at Lindsey Graham. The guy is the moral freak. I mean, but fine people of South Carolina continue to elect this idiot. And what can I say? Yeah, it's collapse. It's basically disintegration of the political system. With it, it's actually the disintegration of the governance. Nobody can govern this country anymore effectively. It's not moving anyway. It's just there's an inertia. Good, fine people on the ground here. They're doing their thing. They go to work. They work and produce some value, some of them at least. So they pay taxes, and that's about it. The rest of it, it's the other disgusting political theater, which is built around the most vile, the most criminal thing you can possibly think. Civilization, which throws its children at the altar of perversion, certainly doesn't have the right to exist. And this is what is happening. It's imploding. It's ridiculous, okay? And that's when I say that United States lost the arms race. It lost it by a mile. I'm not exaggerating, probably by 2 miles. And in terms of missile weaponry, it's nowhere near Russia. It's not even funny. It's not even fair to compare the capabilities and arsenal. And when you look attentively at Russian missile arsenal, and you will see yourself that, my God. And in terms of artillery, I'm not going to go there too. And there are other things which require a very, so to speak, focused special conversation about them. For example, Tor M2, although it has now extended capabilities, it is essentially what used to be the army or troop air defense. This thing just runs together with you, with your, say, battalion column. You can have a couple of those complexes which are there. They can shoot while moving, which is very interesting thing. They have the range of up to, today, I believe it's up to 14 kilometers, and the elevation of up to 7 to 8. They can certainly shoot the aircraft, but primarily they are good at the shooting all kinds of the drones, and of course the things like cruise missiles, especially low-flying objects. So those are already very serious missile systems, and they can shoot. They have arsenal of different missiles for different applications, and they can shoot anything, including their ballistic missiles of their intermediate range, up to 5,000 kilometer range from their, when they launched from 5,000 kilometer. Many people do not understand. They shoot them at probably the terminal phase of the 125 to 200 kilometers and elevation above 25 kilometers. But it is S-500, which has full-blown anti-intercontinental missile capability. That means it shoots multiple independent re-entry vehicles of the intercontinental ballistic missiles. That is, the United States has nothing which even thought is a joke compared to that. And yeah, there's all kinds of other things that, and again, it also matters how you integrate this, and Russians have fully integrated multi-layer what is called echelon air defense. And yeah, NATO doesn't have anything even remotely comparable to it. Order of it, not several times, order of magnitude more than whole NATO, United States, including combined producers. And just think about it. And they cannot understand, they cannot wrap their brains around it, because again, if you grew up from the real estate market in New York, which is essentially gotcha, that's the only thing. And it's a mafia-ridden, essentially, sector of New York economy, if you wish. What do you expect? He thought it was like he's a godfather and everybody has to admire him. He won the second term. And again, for him, that's the achievement. Whatever the policies, whatever he tries to do and achieve something tangible for the country, let alone the international arena, I would freaking smack Netanyahu's face or just crush the chair on his head when he was humiliatingly, just, it's like mocking, gave him the letter to Trump that he will be nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. This is the guy who supports genocide in Gaza. What do we know? Come on. That's the, and now, of course, we know the other thing, which are Epstein files and how they handled as amateurs that they are. And of course, they're hiding things. What can I say? let other people deal with this who know more about it. But yeah, news on that front are not good for Trump. They are simply not good. And the people who surround him. So he's a loser in reality. I will not say that they are minute minority, but they are minority. And I don't know percentages, okay, probably 10, 15%, okay? It's a significant number overall, but no, you just cannot change anything until which they probably will get to the point of a complete Weimar and soup kitchens lines. And so then maybe, but then again, once that happens, they need to what? Go and march towards Russians, kill Russians, and get those resources. The scenario is always the same because it is perpetuated by those fanatics from both Berlin, Washington, and London. They do not know more. They are primitive creeps. But Trump said he looked cool in uniform and spoke. Just so it was clear that the guy is utterly incompetent, and he doesn't understand what he's talking about. He doesn't know war. He doesn't understand modern technology of the 21st century warfare. And there is nobody who can break through this bubble to explain to him that, Mr. President, you are embarrassing your country. Russians are having Homeric laugh for the last 48 hours listening today. U.S. military industrial complex cannot produce a freaking shells enough, and they try to ramp up production. In terms of the missiles, it's laughable. United States lost the arms race by a mile. Obama administration was an organized crime group, which was also in DNC, and anybody who had half brain functional, even 1% of the brain functional in 2016, 2017 already knew it was a complete spectacle. And it's, oh, hello, it took what, 10 years to almost 10 years to figure this out. Everybody knew it. Everybody knew that it was sabotage. It was the state high treason. It was the against constitution. The question here is, yeah, they presented as if we didn't know that. Who is going to answer? Trump again BS's public that Obama should go behind bars, which he should actually, including with those DNC creeps. No, he will do nothing again. It is all about this political theater that throwing the bone to MAGA crowd, which obviously is very dissatisfied with how United States is a slap beach of Israel and how it is controlled by Israel and Trump administration and Epstein file. So the country, the political system, which is infested with the pedophiles and foreign intel assets, and which cannot defend its own children, make your own conclusions. What kind of country is that? I've lived in the United States for more than 30 years. It used to be a different country. I do not recognize this country anymore. And this is probably one of the symptoms, not symptoms, indications of the collapse, which is already happening. And yeah, it's implosion. United States doesn't have levers. What it's going to do? Start war with Russia? Good luck. Do they want to start war with China? Good luck with that. No, the guy lies. He lies nonstop. Misrepresentation is lying by definition. So what can I say? We're discussing again kindergarten child. He's 79. He never grew up. His level of maturity is that of the 18-year-old bully from some campus or some for the retards. And so there you go. We're constantly discussing the guy who we have to, everybody, Russians don't pay attention to him anymore. Just whatever he says, yeah, sure, yeah. Next day he will say that, I just went to Mars, found new resources, mineral resources there. We're going to occupy Mars or something like that. He can make up whatever he wants. And at this stage, he has become the embarrassment for the United States. That's the funny thing. In terms of Biden, everybody knew he was a zombie. He had no brain left. He had the hands of his wife, who is also dumb as a stump, doctor in education, Dr. Jill, his wife hand and a hand of Sullivan and Blinken up his ass and manipulating him. He didn't have a real thought about himself, which already discredited American political system around the world. But now we have the guy who is, I don't know, the kid. Yeah, that's who he is. Is it sad? Yeah, it's catastrophe for the United States. But there are no other people. Militarily, United States cannot do a thing in there. So short of starting the World War III, which is nuclear, but then the United States will cease to exist. So that's what it is. We have the circus, okay? As I already stated, why 50? Okay, give it like normal people say, oh, 2 months. Okay, that's reasonable, okay? Or for that matter, well, something like, I don't know even how to go about 50 days. He probably saw, oh, okay, 100 days, let's split it in two, let's give it 50. So let him introduce 100% tariffs on India, China, and others who buy Russian oil and see what's going to happen. Militarily, US is a paper tiger, and I've been on record for this for a long time. It still can damage you. It certainly can basically wreck some third world country, but it's not into the fighting real wars. And this is just the process which we already see for a while now. The guy comes up, throws in some kind of BS, and everybody like, and the State Department has to clarify things. Yeah, sure,
Yeah.
Russia don't care. So Zelensky cracked down on them because, the narrative is changing, as we already understand. And somebody paid to those creeps. They went out, pretended that they showed that they're demonstrating against. Yeah, it's all kabuki theater. It's nauseating. It's what Ukraine or whatever is left of it is. In nature, I wouldn't pay too much attention on this. No, there will be no any kind of popular uprising or anything. They don't do anything for free. They love to get paid and love to get somewhat a profit out of it. So anybody who concentrates too much on that, I have a bridge to sell them, really. So it's not that significant, but it's happening. I can tell you what would have been there. Really something which would explain to you the issue of Zelensky regime. And if somebody will start to find all kinds of the armed partisan or guerrilla groups fighting against it, no, nobody fights against him. And so it's all about what kind of crooks are sitting in Kiev. Because the only thing, the statehood or statesmanship in Ukrainian definition is how to steal. That's it. They always were stealing. So they, in 1991, they were left with the country which was prosperous, had a really large economy. It was the largest European economy with the exception of Russia, and they had the modern armed forces and all that. There are some certain group of the imbeciles from London, and they think the solution is somehow is going to, be more, cooperative on this. Yeah, sure, the guy is a butcher. He is not very bright, but sure, they can play with those figures. Again, you have to understand, average Washington's or London strategists, so to speak, the only thing they can do is basically the personalities. They shuffle personalities. They do not understand what policy is. Policy, not politics. There's a tremendous difference between politics and the policy. And so none of them is capable. If you look at all those think tanks, all those advisory boards, all those national security councils, these are amateurs. They never encountered any kind of the serious event in their life, such as the scale of the special military operation, and they go back to what they did always. We remember that actually British, Churchill especially, were promoting Charles de Gaulle tremendously during World War II, to the point that Charles de Gaulle actually complained that, I'm being marketed as that piece of soap. So that's the quote. He was like, and the same is happening here. They think that, somehow they can put this guy somewhere in the position of power in Ukraine and something is going to change. Nothing is going to change. Strategically, they have the kind of extended range 500. It's a high supersonic. It's not hypersonic. High supersonic or ballistic missile, essentially. It can correct itself during the flight, but again, it's a standard. Russians had actually Tor-M2, which is the short-range air defense complex, shooting down those ATACMS. So it's a standard together with HIMARS. It's a standard target for Russian air defense, and the United States not even in the same universe. Forget about galaxy in terms of air defense with Russia. And in terms of missiles, what do you have? You have standard intercontinental ballistic missiles, such as Minuteman III, which is, but of course, a strategic weapon. But other than that, what? Good old Tomahawk, JASSM. Yeah, they will make JASSM the extended range, which is about 900 kilometers. It's nowhere near in the Russian capabilities. And again, just to give you an example, XBD, which is KHBD, which is already serially produced and is on the first line bombers using it, has a range in excess of 8,500 kilometers. So the Kinjal has the 2,000 kilometers plus. Zircon has 1,500 kilometers. And these are missiles which could be used also as anti-shipping missiles. There's nothing like this in. They are still, this old story, which lasts now, 4 or 5 years probably, long-range hypersonic weapon. They still are deploying it, and they still cannot put it in. So the trauma of being absolutely demolished by the Red Army, it never went away. And then NATO, first, all NATO doctrines have been written by Wehrmacht officers, Wehrmacht generals. And of course, it was used essentially to turn Germany into what it is today by the West. And Germany is the first candidate of the European country to be basically, I don't know what's going to happen. I know militarily what's going to happen. I know what it will take to do this. But Germany is essentially lost. And German nation, as we know it, is essentially no more, except for those fanatics in Berlin, and most of them anyway, be them from Christian Democratic Union or SPD, it doesn't really matter. Really, they are fanatics and they are globalist party, and most of them, they do not understand the war. They don't understand how it all works. The only thing they know is how to perpetuate this suicidal agenda, cultural agenda, which also, I would say it's cultization of the nation. And German people can continue to drink beer and go watch their football matches in Bundesliga, and that's about the level of they need. They're cattle, basically. So I know it sounds very insulting, but there are people in Germany, Germans who understand what is happening, who suffer because of that, and who try to do something about it. They are minority of both Trump and whoever he surrounded himself with, of course, to preserve Ukraine as some kind of this bridgehead, so to speak, and to be used as a ram against Russia sometime in the future. Russians know it. It's the kindergarten level. Again, they don't do strategy really there. They don't know what it is. But Russians know this is all hustle and those pathetic maneuvers on the level of the kindergarten to pretend that, we're going to change from Zelensky to somebody. What's going to change? Nothing. The only thing they're trying to accomplish, Trump is not trying to get the peace settlement. Many people still do not understand. He talks about it, but he doesn't. And it's all about ceasefire and somehow rearming Ukraine and maybe preserving some kind of the kernel, so to speak, of this, whatever the virtual country, to be used later. So that's what is this all about. Russians are absolutely keenly aware of this. They knew it from the start of the special military operation. It's just that the dynamics, again, Pentagon is utterly militarily incompetent, and as the result, you saw yourself what happens. And Zelensky, in this case, is just the pawn, but the pawn which tries to get himself into the queen position, running across the whole chessboard, and somehow to save his pathetic life. They cannot be. There are no people of honor, integrity, knowledge, capability. Those who do, and you look at people like Thomas Massey, Jerry Taylor Greene, they are minority. They're crooks who would sell their family for any kind of whatever they do. There are pedophiles running around there. So there are all kinds of double, triple agents working for the foreign governments. And so that's what is this whole situation boils down to. And the country, in terms of governance, it's ungovernable country. But I warned about it a few years back. I said that the United States enters during Trump's first administration, it enters the period of total ungovernance. It's ungovernable in the extreme. So you literally, the only thing which are happening there are pushing those legislatures which themselves do nothing to promote or save America from what is coming. Like the big beautiful bill, whatever the hell. It's make other people rich, few of them. That's pretty much what it comes down. They try to obviously utilize India in its always ambiguous position, but that's what Indians do. They definitely have a very large pro-Western lobby there. But I'll give you one interesting fact, which is really interesting in the sense that Russia recognized Taliban, not that they did it because they admired Taliban, but because they said that's the reality. That is why MAGA crowd, and as I already stated, there are even people from the Democrats, the same people who actually played a very huge role in electing and promoting those people into their position of power. Even they say that this must stop. Too bad it is too late, because the whole world knows that the United States, the same as London, is pedophile center. How are you going to talk with those people? You do not want to shake their hand. They should be behind bars. They will not be. And it will be covered up again. And that will completely destroy the remnants of any trust which society needs to have to function properly. But then again, United States was in decline for a while now. It's just that everything now is coming up like this. And, oh, Russiagate. Yeah, we knew this. Oh, Capitol Hill, Washington, D.C. That's, oh, yeah, look at U.S. British oligarchs. They're perverts. Oh, my God. As if we didn't know what was happening. Yeah, there you go. And what can I say? It's sad, but it's the reality. So now the State Department has to take the brunt. No, it's actually not quite that, because the only thing he can do is to impose 100% taxes on the countries which buy Russian oil. Guess what which already happened? A response from China to just go screw yourself. And it's going to hurt the United States way more than Russia. Russians are ready for any contingency. But he managed to, by BSing people again, to get to the office. But then again, look at the quality of the US presidents. Starting the last president who was a president, you may disagree with him, was George H.W. Bush Sr. And after that, what do we have? Free Willy, probably pedophile, Clinton. Then we have Dummy W. We have Obama, who screwed up country so badly, and instead of addressing serious economic problems, he just made other people who actually precipitated this crisis, he made them even richer. So then you have Trump, and then we have Biden. Look at this. It's a panopticon. It's a circus figures. And it was Clinton who was presiding over the signing law of the Proposition 4444 of the ascendance of China to World Trade Organization, essentially the vacuum cleaner, which legally, after Congress passed it, legally sucked out practically most of the industries to China. And that's when it all started in earnest. And you look at this, good Lord, why don't we ask Ronald McDonald to be the next president? At least, you know what, he may lower the prices on the Big Mac in McDonald's. That's about it. Will not harm you any more than what those people are doing. And yeah, that's the result. Narcissism is not a bug, but the feature of Washington, D.C. And this goes for Europeans too.